Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the game breakdown on Loud Noises Gaming. I'm Tenebrae.
I'm Kirito the Beater.
He's Hiko. He's Hiko. Just fuck it. I shouldn't even introduce him. I'm just going to say his name. I'm just going to be like, I'm Tenebrae and I'm with Hiko. All right. So this is going to be a tie-in segment with our last segment, which was Where's the Difficulty? This one's going to be Where's the Depth?
The depth. Yes, where the hell is it indeed?
All right. Now, a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people may not know exactly what depth is. You know, and, you know, then we're going to try in with where did it go?
Yeah.
Depth is like, how do I explain it? It's the amount of just story, backstory, content,
The shit that's going on in the universe of this game.
Yeah, the universe of the game needs to have some sort of depth and some sort of, like, progression-ish. You know, games that have depth are like, you know, any of the big games like, gosh, Half-Life. Half-Life has a lot of depth. Games like
Elder Scrolls.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Games like Diablo from Blizzard. Amazing amount of depth. Where it's a game that you actually can immerse yourself in. And immersion is different. Immersion, atmosphere, and depth are all things that we're going to have to cover. It's just, you can dive into it, and you won't just hit the bottom. You'll be able to dive in and explore this world as if it were a real world. Now, lately I've noticed that games have... Some games, it's weird. It's like some games are getting a lot of depth, and some games are getting almost no depth.
Yeah.
And what makes a game have depth is all about the story and how it's presented to you, and how you interact with the story.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Is that a good way of saying it?
Yeah, it is.
Like, gosh. Depth in a story is like having, well, gosh, it's like if you were to have no depth, you were to play a game.
You just jump in, you just fly right through it. You don't care about any of the characters. You don't care about any of the decisions you've made. You're just playing a game.
And those decisions do not affect the outcome of the game in any way. It's like, well, you know, I don't want to save this person. Well, you just didn't save that person, then nothing else happens with that. There's no context to why you didn't save that person, you know.
You're not getting anything out of saving that person. You're not getting anything out of letting them die. You're not losing anything out of it.
There were no hard choices that needed to be made. It's just games that don't have any depth don't feel as, you know, good. Gosh, depth is such a hard thing to explain.
It is. It really is. Because
it's such a hard thing to explain.
It's just, you know, the experience you get from the game.
We'll get into that a little more later on down the line because we have some good examples lined up. Now, before we get into the examples, we want to discuss the difference between depth, immersion, and atmosphere. Because they're all different things. They all tie in with each other well, but they're all different things. I tried to explain depth. Depth is the story, how it's presented, how you can feel about it, you know, whether or not it actually has context and whether or not the universe in which the game is taking place is developed.
Yeah.
Immersion is the way the game sucks you in as the player to playing the game. It immerses you within being the character.
Yeah, I remember I got Magna Carta around Christmas during winter break, you know, back in high school. And I played that game straight through winter break. And I was playing it so much that when I got back to school, I had played that game so hard that it had become almost like those characters were real to me. I was just so into it. And I'm walking down the hallway and I'm seeing all these people. And I was just like, oh my god, what the hell is going on here? There's so many people. I was really sucked into that game and the universe of that game. It was just ridiculous.
You were very immersed.
Yes, I was immersed in this fucking game.
Like, the best way to describe depth and immersion, it's like, if you were to jump in to a pool, okay, but the pool is only 2 feet deep, that would be like having no depth.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively. But if the pool is very deep and you could go and explore the pool, you know,
The pool obviously
it has depth. It has depth. It has room to explore. You getting to the other side of the pool is your only objective. But you could swim to the side. You could go down. You know, you could go touch the bottom. You could do all that stuff, and you can finally get to the end at your own pace, and you can do all this stuff, and you can explore the pool to its fullest. Games without any depth would be like, you know, one lane of a lap pool that's 3 feet deep.
Yeah.
You would literally be on that course, and you wouldn't be able to see what's happening. Like, there's water around you, but you don't get to explore it.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get to explore because you're blocked by those little blocks on, like, what are they, like?
They're kind of like ropes.
Like the rope things in the pool, you don't get to experience that. And you don't know, you don't have any contact with the outside of, you know...
Your lane.
Your lane. Now, atmosphere is, and again, another thing. How would you describe atmosphere?
Atmosphere, I don't know, man. That's a hard one because all these things, depth, immersion, and atmosphere all go hand in hand. I think atmosphere for me would be kind of like, you know, the feel to the game. Like, let's take The Witcher. I recently played that. The game has a very dark feel to it. Like, nothing is bright and colorful. Everything's kind of gray and dull, you know. The characters, the language they use is different from what we're used to, you know. Characters are more like just fuck you. Literally, a character will say fuck you to another character. It's just this dark atmosphere. That's what it has to it. That's its atmosphere.
Yeah. Another game that we're going to discuss in depth about its depth is Metro 2033, which has an amazing atmosphere.
Yeah. Going
through that game, you actually feel in some of the parts you're alone. You are the last person. You don't feel like there's anything around you. You're just, fuck, I'm in a bad area. I'm alone. I need to get out.
Yes.
I need to keep moving because my gas mask is going to run out. And there's like that tense atmosphere and the immersion of if you don't, you know, exchange your gas mask filter, you're going to die. You're going to suffocate. I mean, atmosphere is like Amnesia. Amnesia with the
the sounds and
the
everything
sound
that
effects.
go
I
into
did a
Amnesia.
playthrough of it. Me personally, I don't get that scared in games. I mean, so you can't really tell of the atmosphere in that game. But for someone like me who played it, I can objectively say it had a very dark atmosphere that made you wonder. You were wondering the entire time what the hell was happening too. It's a very atmospheric game. And that's where it draws a lot of its strengths. A lot of horror games in particular draw a lot of their strength and their horror from the atmosphere that they have. Now, this is going to be probably our biggest example, and we're going to cut to some other examples, but Skyrim versus Oblivion versus Morrowind. What the hell happened? It's basically the same question from the last gaming breakdown, but it's regarding depth and not difficulty.
Yeah.
Morrowind, while your decisions did not directly, you know, impact exactly how everyone talked to you, it had so much more depth. Like, you could literally go out and read all these books.
Yeah.
And you could do all this stuff. You could do the same in Skyrim and Oblivion. But it
not
just...
to the same effect.
It didn't have the same feeling because you were not told anything at all in Morrowind. You had no idea what the hell was going on. And if you were new to the series, like a lot of people were, like we were...
Yeah, Morrowind was my first.
Morrowind was our first Elder Scrolls games. I went back and played the other two on the computer, but Hiko never did. When we first played Morrowind, back when it was first released, we were confused. We were in wonder of this world. We had no idea.
Yeah, this is a whole different world.
Yeah, and we actually had to learn about the world. I mean, I would go on wikis, and I would like learn what the hell is happening. And as you progress through the story, you learn so much more stuff. You know,
racism.
Yeah, there's like so much racism in that game. There's slavery. There's a whole bunch of depth to it, and there's a lot of immersion to it.
Yeah, you could get really into that world.
And the atmosphere, because of the graphic style, was not as good as like say newer games or horror games, but That's not to say it wasn't there. It had its like own brand of atmosphere in dungeons. You felt, you know, like you seriously needed to move that ass. Like, for lack of a better term.
Morrowind had a very gray, bleak feeling to it. The atmosphere of Morrowind was very almost like the color was a bit drained from it.
Yeah.
Nothing was bursting with color. It felt a little drained.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's like it's like all that disappeared in Oblivion and Skyrim. I'm not sure if it's just us and we've grown out of the Elder Scrolls. I don't think I have, because I will still go out and buy the next Elder Scrolls that they make, regardless of how I felt about Skyrim. I still love Skyrim. It's amazing. But, I mean, I've heard this used a lot with talking about Skyrim. It's an ocean with the depth of like 2 feet. It's so expansive and so large, but there's no depth. And there's immersion, but there's a lot of immersion breaks also. Yeah. I mean, and the atmosphere is all right. I mean, when I'm playing through the game, I beat the game on level 80 on so many different characters I made, and nothing seems to change when I go and talk to people.
Yeah, there's so much exploitation in it, by the way.
Like, I'm a level 80, I have like everything maxed out. I'm like the leader of the champions. I'm the leader of the Mages Guild. I'm the leader of everything, basically.
And nobody fucking cares.
I saved Skyrim, but if I go talk to some peasant farmer, he's going to be like, oh, hey, what's up? Who are you? I need some help working around on the farm. Can you assist me? It's like, do you not give a shit that I'm like the champion of the planet? I don't get why that's not a thing. And I can understand it'd be difficult to incorporate that. I mean, the only people that actually get changed in any way
are the characters you can't.
Are the characters of the main storyline, but you don't have much attachment to them at all.
No, you don't.
Honestly, I do not give two flying fucks about anyone in Skyrim.
Well, I care about Lydia
because she's your companion.
Yeah.
But honestly, I do not care about pretty much any other character
I'm afraid she's gonna die.
In Skyrim, and I feel like that's something that really needs to be in an Elder Scrolls game. I need to give a shit about the characters around me.
Yeah. Or
at least, even if I don't like them, I need to care about killing them or something.
Yeah, I need to care enough to feel something for them.
I need to feel like if there's a boss, I need to hate the shit out of him.
Oh my god, I fucking hated Dagothr.
Everyone did, because he was so damn difficult to kill.
He was a fucking dick, is what he was.
Huh. Man.
He talked shit. He talked mad shit.
And I hope that people watching this can understand what we mean by the amount of depth within the games. In Oblivion, I think Oblivion had some of the most depth.
I think so too. That storyline with
storyline was
with Martin
more
and
in
everything.
depth.
Yes, it felt very, very. I don't know a way to put this, but it was good. I really liked the storyline.
Yeah.
I mean, Skyrim, you got this thing going on with the dragons. I really don't care for what's going on too much.
All I know is I get to have epic dragon fights. That's the main thing.
How epic, though. Once the dragon lands, I just axe the living shit out of it.
You use an axe?
Yeah, I use Wuthrod from the Companions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me, I just blasted out of the sky with lightning and it turned to ash. But
yeah, I'm hitting it with Dragon Rend and just beating the fuck out of it.
It's not like I actually care about the dragons. Like, if there's a village getting attacked, I look over, I'm like, oh shit, that dragon's effing up that village.
I'm not gonna go over
Well, I'm going that way, so...
Yeah, I'm not gonna go out of my way. Unless I'm low on souls, I don't give a shit about that village.
Yeah, and I think that that's not good. I mean, even a lot of the time, if there's a dragon just chilling there, and I look at it, I'm like, I actually don't really care to fight you, so I'm just gonna leave you.
Yeah, that's another thing, though. It's that, in the game, there's certain... When you're asked questions or whatever, in the dialogue, you have the option to choose, like... You know, you can be all, like, humble and, like, oh, yes, Jarl, or whatever. Or you can be like, no, fuck you, basically. You know, you can be a smartass. And, you know, I don't have a reason to pick either. I just picked the nice one for the sake of not being an asshole. I I don't gain anything out of the other, you know.
Like I have different characters. Like I have a bunch of different characters I've played fully through, and one of them, I am a total bad guy. 100% evil as shit. Okay? Like, if someone crosses me, I'll just blast them. I have, like, a super bounty in every town except for the one that I have my house in. Like, it's weird because I can kill all these people. I can just go on a murder's rampage in I can kill everyone in a town. And then I can go to the next town over, you know, and I'm just going to be like, hey, what's going on? And everyone fucking loves me there.
Yeah.
You know? In Oblivion, they translated that better.
They did.
As like I know that it's each hold in Skyrim has its own
bounty on you.
Its own bounty system. Yeah. But in Oblivion, there was a bounty and you had to pay it off because it was universal.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit more immersion and more depth. Because it's like, oh, I'm actually a bad guy. I'm not two-facing the shit and no one gives a crap because, like...
Unless you're wearing the fox cowl or whatever, the gray fox.
Oh, dude, I abused the hell out of that, and I loved it. I mean, honestly, I feel that Morrowind had a lot of... Do I want to say depth? I do want to say depth. It had a lot of depth, immersion, and atmosphere, sort of. But, I mean, it's an older game, so those things weren't as needed as they are now to make a good game.
That's true.
Oblivion was still sticking kind of with what Morrowind had, and it had a great depth, immersion, and atmosphere to it. I can't say I really liked the game too much, but I did enjoy what it offered me. I did enjoy it as a part of the Elder Scrolls universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Skyrim, I could actually survive if Skyrim actually never happened in the Elder Scrolls universe.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, Skyrim's great. You know, it's a really good game. It's over.
Don't get us wrong. I went to midnight release and played the shit out of the game. I mean, I have it on my PC and Xbox. It is. I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan, and I love the hell out of the series. It's just Skyrim to me didn't do it like Oblivion and Morrowind did.
Yeah, I mean the thing I have to say about Skyrim is it for me definitely overrated. I just started playing it now. I'm enjoying it. I'm progressing through it, good pace. But if I didn't get to play it this year and I had to wait another 3 years to play it, I wouldn't have cared.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the amount of time I dumped into Morrowind and Oblivion was hundreds of hours.
Oh, the amount of time I dumped into Morrowind alone is more than both Skyrim and Oblivion easily.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just because of the amount of depth, immersion, and atmosphere. Alright, so let's get off that, because I feel like we're going to end up taking up way too much time with that if we just keep going.
Yeah.
Other games with depth. Metro 2033. Already mentioned it. Amazing game.
It is. I mean, I'm still not finished with it because, I mean, you all know that I'm doing a playthrough, but so far I'm really liking that game.
Well, maybe they don't know. He's doing a playthrough on our channel, and you know, it takes him a little while because of his upload speed. He is running only on a laptop right now, unfortunately, so he has to,
and
you know,
also fucking dial up essentially.
He has you have DSL?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not rocking the best internet connection right now. It's enough for gaming, but not really good for uploading. It takes forever to upload. The amount of depth and story in Metro 2033 is amazing. I don't know if you've actually done it, but you can actually go, and if you just go talk to people, because you can talk to people in the game. It's a first-person shooter.
Don't speak fucking Russian. It's not subtitled for me, so no, I can't talk to anyone.
Here, change it to English.
No, I'm gonna keep playing Russian. It makes it feel awesome. It adds more to the atmosphere at that point.
Yeah, it adds more to the atmosphere because that's what it was designed around. You're in Moscow, but the depth if you were to go talk to people with English, you can learn so much about the backstory. It is amazing. I mean, and the reason it has so much depth, so much immersion, and so much atmosphere, is such a well-written story, was because there were books before it was a game.
It's based off a book?
Yeah, it's based off a book. I don't know. Did I tell you that?
No, I did not know.
Well,
that.
it's based off a book, and it is amazing. The story. The story is, you know, nuclear war, chemical and nuclear war broke out between all the superpowers, and the world is basically dead, pretty much. There are mutants all over the place from all the chemical and nuclear fallout. And you're just a guy in a sewer, or not in a sewer, in the Moscow subway system. You've been born and raised in there. Like from a few days after birth, you were in there because that's when the bombs fell. And you have lived your entire life in there. And there's so much stuff that you can learn just by going to talk to the other people in there because they all have something to say about the universe.
I didn't know any of that. I mean, that's also because I'm not too far in the game. But, I mean, so far, like, when I start playing it, I do get really into it. Like, every single little thing that's happening, I'm reacting to it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, and I like that you didn't notice. You didn't bother to go do all that checking and talking to people because games should allow that, in my opinion. They should allow you to not give a shit about the depth. But for people that do, like me personally, I love depth. I love, you know, finding out the backstory of everything in the games I play.
Yeah.
I like to be able to talk to every single person and find out the backstory.
Yeah.
I mean, just the ability to do that, or not, is a great feature in any game. They're not force-feeding it to you if you don't want to know. I mean, you can listen to radios in Metro and you can hear things. Hear people talking. You can talk to like some people you can just go and like listen to a conversation of these two radio broadcast guys and they're telling a story of a different person that they were in radio contact with for years. Like it's interesting to actually a game went through the efforts like let's just add this in here.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, it'll give a little bit of context to the world. And I really like that. Another game with hidden depth, I would say, is Shadow of the Colossus. Hiko's never played Shadow of the Colossus, so I'm going to have to take the reins on this one.
I never had a PS2.
You didn't?
Oh, I have one. I just never played it.
Well, Shadow of the Colossus. It was an underrated title for its time.
I don't think you can say it was underrated because once it didn't get out there until I think the next gen consoles were already out.
I actually probably have to agree with you on that
because that's when people started talking about it. I don't know how the word got out, but then people just started talking about Shadow of the Colossus. It was really big for a little while. Not like, you know, ridiculously like everybody's playing it like it's Call of Duty. But, you know, people talked about it. You know, it was one of those games that's like, have you played Shadow of the Colossus? It's like, oh my god, yeah, I played it. That was, you know, it was a game that people talked about, and it had its own little thing going on.
It was an epic. It was God of War before, like, you know, well, it's God of War, but with a different feel to it. I mean, you go around, the only enemies you face, nothing will kill you in this game. Except for the Colossi. I mean, that's all you have to do, but each battle is intense and can take you over an hour. I mean, if you're new and you're just playing through the game, I mean, I played it through a few times, and I love the hell out of it. Because there are always different things you can do. I mean, you could go and, you can go and get your bow upgraded to, like, a different type. You can go and you can eat lizards and fruit to upgrade yourself a little bit, right? It didn't matter too much, but you could still do it. And it's still like a side thing that you didn't need to do, but it was there. It was just such an atmospheric and immersive game. Because I actually felt for my horse in that game, because he was the only other fucking character in that game.
Yeah, but you got close to your fucking horse.
Yeah, he was my horse.
This is my horse. You do not mess with my horse.
Argo was the shit, and when... I hope I'm not... Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Okay, spoiler alert. If you haven't played Shadow of the Colossus and you plan on doing so at some point, is that okay if I spoil it for you?
Yeah, I probably already know.
Your horse falls before you fight the last Colossi. He falls into a ravine and into a river, and I was genuinely sad and pissed off that my horse fell. Because my horse... Because you're riding across this bridge and the bridge starts collapsing. the horse goes out of its way to run and buck you off to make it so you don't fall, and then the horse falls into this ravine, and I was genuinely fucking pissed and upset, and I loved the hell out of that horse.
Yeah, that's fucking depth. When the death of...
Well, that's more immersion, but yes. When you care.
When you genuinely fucking care, even if it's just an animal that never talked to you or anything in the game, but and it dies, and you're just like, oh my god.
He was more help to you than anything in that game. I mean, you could not walk around the world.
No, of course not.
The world is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to ride your horse, but I mean, the fact that was the only character that was with you the entire time, there's like this transcendent being or beings that, you know, is telling you to do things, basically your quest giver, but, you know, you're just interested in, you know, what you're doing there because you are generally interested is why you brought this girl there to be resurrected. Why was she killed? I mean, and you can, if you really, really try, you can find out all of the information in the game, but it is very difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, but the game had so much hidden depth. That's what I'm trying to get across. Okay. Possibly one of the biggest things for us, again, past Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim, is another one of our favorite RPGs, is the KOTOR series.
KOTOR, amazing. Well, I wouldn't say the series myself. I think the first one, just the first one.
The first one. We haven't played the MMO because we were kind of pissed off it went that route, but it's okay.
That pay to play.
It's okay. We'll play it eventually just to get the story out of it.
Yeah.
Eventually. Just not now. You know what? You explain KOTOR.
I love the shit out of KOTOR.
You explain KOTOR.
I mean, KOTOR was just so awesome. It was the way you could choose what you wanted to say. It really did affect everything. The choices you can make, go light or dark. You even after you became a Jedi, you could be like, fuck lightsabers. I prefer using guns. You could wear an armor that wouldn't let you use electric force moves. You know, there was just so much you could do. You could talk to the characters, and each character in your party had a unique story. They all had a unique story. Like,
you got to the point where you cared.
You cared about them, yeah, except for Karth, if you decided to go a little bit evil, because he was just a bitch.
Yeah, he was kind of a bitch.
The only time, but Karth did have that side to him when you go and you find.
But he was
Admiral,
like your BFF.
Yeah, but you fight an admiral, and Karth, you tell him, you know what, Karth, get your revenge, do it now, you know, and you see that side of Karth. These characters aren't, you know, one-dimensional. There's so much to
You can
these
change them.
You can mold the characters too, the other characters, you know, people that you aren't, you can make them evil as hell. Zalbarg owes you a life debt. You get him to kill his best friend if you feel like it.
And you can. You
can. You can do all this stuff. There's just so much you can do. It's just ridiculously awesome the way they did that. And the game was simple. Honestly, it's not like the combat was like all this crazy shit.
Combat wasn't that impressive.
But it was fun.
You ignored it. You ignored the fact that the combat was not great. Just because you enjoyed playing through the game over and over and over again.
Oh my god, I must have played that game like 4 or 5 times, and it's not a short game.
No. Well, actually, it got short near like the 15th time I played it through, but...
It's still about medium at that point.
Yeah, because you still have to do so much stuff. I mean, and this goes for... We're saying particularly about KOTOR 1. Then there was KOTOR 2, which, in my own personal opinion, wasn't as good, but... I think that can be contributed to I was so attached to the characters in the first one.
Yeah, you really do get attached to those characters.
I didn't care that they introduced new ones. I wanted my old characters back.
You know, for the second one, I think the problem I had with it was the way it ended. It just didn't make sense because it's unfinished. They never finished.
Apparently, they ended for us in the MMO. And this is just BioWare games in general. They do a fairly good job. I'm not too sure about what happened with the whole Mass Effect 3 fiasco.
I've only played the first one. I'm still working on the other ones.
I haven't played any of the Mass Effect series. It passed me by. I never got into it, unfortunately.
Before I played it, I thought I would never end up playing it. I thought, it wasn't going to be as good as KOTOR. But after playing the first one, I'm definitely going to finish up that series at some point.
Yeah, and that even goes for Dragon Age.
Oh, I need to play Dragon Age too.
Dragon Age Origins, the first one, I personally felt was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I played it on the computer. I loved it to death. I loved the characters. BioWare games have an amazing amount of depth, immersion, and atmosphere to them.
Yes.
Atmosphere being their least strongest point, but still being, you know, better than a lot of other games.
Yeah.
They just have so much backstory. You could go and talk to people, and you can find out the most random things about the universe that the developers and the story writers all put in there for you.
It's effort. It's all effort that they put in.
They could have just been like, okay, you know, a lot of people aren't even going to notice that, you know, this girl lost her family. She's over here, you know, behind this house crying in a corner. But if you take the time to explore and you go back there, you're going to find out a little bit about her.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just making shit up right now, but that's actually a thing that could happen in a BioWare game. You go and you talk to her and she's like, oh, this happened. And you could have like a whole mini little side quest thing where you actually that could end up being your favorite quest of the entire game simply because you felt attached to the characters involved.
Yeah. That's BioWare strong.
Yeah, BioWare really makes you give a shit about their characters, and I really like that. We have to talk about it. We have to throw an FPS in there because another FPS. Metro is like in a league of its own with regarding story, but Halo.
Yeah, definitely.
Halo has depth, immersion, and some atmosphere. You don't really feel like you're the chief, but you feel like you're a part of the struggle.
Yeah, you do.
And you know what? There's so much storyline in the back of it.
There's so much fucking storyline.
There's so much storyline. There are books, there are novels written about Halo for you to explore and for you to get a better knowledge of the game. A lot of people just play through the Halo and do not know what's going on.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people
I know so many
don't
people
understand why brutes, elites, and grunts and jackals are all together.
Or why the brutes hate the elites. Some people don't even know the names of the enemies you fight. Or the weapons. But it's there if you listen.
It is.
It's there if you go about to check, to learn, to, you know, go and play the offshoots. You go and play ODST. You go and play Halo Wars, which gave you some information on a completely separate, you know, conflict within the Halo universe. But you were like, oh crap, this is a thing. You know, there were other things happening in the universe of Halo that you were not directly involved in.
Yeah.
And that is something that, even though you couldn't get much depth on your own, it was kind of given to you in the story, you could still, you could still go about and learn about it on your own. And they gave you other avenues to do that. And I really appreciate that Halo, as a juggernaut FPS, did not just throw it all out the window, but that's part of it, the story. And I'm a little shaky on Halo 4. I'm not sure whether or not they're going to butcher it or make it amazing.
Yep.
Because there's still a lot of loose ends in Halo, and they really need to close those. Or not. That's the thing. They could not close them.
And leave it for Halo 5.
No, they could not close. Well, no, there's going to be another trilogy.
It's a new trilogy.
It's a new trilogy. They could not close the story at the end of the new trilogy, but they would need to do it in a way that satisfies people.
Yeah.
That leaves you going, oh, wow, I wonder what happened. But you know what? It's okay if I don't know. It's better that way.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
whereas at the end of Halo 3, which was supposed to be the last one, he's floating off into space frozen. You're like, what the fuck? What the fuck happened? You know? And then if you beat it on Legendary, you get that little thing where he's going towards some kind of planet.
And you still have to figure out what the hell's going on with Cortana. You know, if he had died,
that would suck, but you'd have way more closure.
That would have sucked, but you would have had all that closure.
You would have had closure, yes.
Yeah, but they left it open. And that was kind of a cliffhanger that I didn't really like, but it was okay with me at the time. Now that
I was not okay with it.
Now that they have Halo 4, I'm starting to realize why they couldn't have just left it like that. Blizzard games. Amazing depth. they're up there with BioWare games with regards to their depth and just storyline and immersion. Diablo makes you care. You don't have the sort of character choices like you do in. It's not like a make your own story like BioWare games, but it's like a storytelling in its own right. Diablo.
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't played Diablo, but the only Diablo game I've ever played is Diablo 3. I've never been into that genre. And as much as I am not a big fan of the genre, it's an okay genre, that top-down action RPG. It's something that, you know, that conveys the story to me, and I'm okay. I like the story of Diablo. It is an interesting story that I'm generally wanting to find out more about. So I went on the wiki and I found out all sorts of information about Diablo before, you know, actually getting too involved with Diablo 3. And the same with StarCraft. They have so much stuff in StarCraft that you don't actually take note of if you just play it competitively.
That's true.
Like,
I know some of it, too.
A lot of people simply, well, I'm just going to get StarCraft, I'm going to do nothing but play the multiplayer, which is fine, because that is the main core focus of the game. But the single player is amazing in its own right. And I think that's genuinely good for games to do that. World of Warcraft, well, personally, I don't like the game. I played it a little bit, wasn't my thing, could not get into it. There's still an immense amount of depth in the Warcraft universe.
Yeah, it's a fucking world of its own.
For you to explore, and Blizzard does a fantastic job with that. Alright, so, one last game with depth for us to touch on. Half-Life. Yes, they have not closed it up. They need to make Half-Life 2 Episode 3 or Half-Life 3. They need to fucking close it. I am getting upset with the amount of time it takes for them to close it, but they better do it right with all this time. Half-Life makes you care about the characters, similar to a way of Halo. It's very scripted. You don't talk to anyone. You know, you just go through the game and you get the story fed to you, basically, but you care. There's depth within the world for you to find out if you want to. Yeah. There's immersion and there's atmosphere.
You get immersed in this story.
Yes. And it's something that I feel first-person shooters are lacking. That's why I have to include Half-Life, Halo, and Metro 2033, because all of them have amazing stories for you to explore if you take the time to do it. And, you know, if you've played the games and you don't actually know much about the story, I would recommend you go back and you check out that story because it's fantastic.
Yep.
Alright, games without depth. You can explain Tenchu.
Okay, Tenchu is the first one we have here. Not too many people play Tenchu. I don't think really anybody plays Tenchu anymore, at least. Tenchu is a simple game. I have a video up where I play it. You're basically a ninja, and you work for not even a clan. You work for a rich dude, essentially, and he wants you to go out there and kill people for him. And you go out there and you kill people for him. That's it. You basically play the same maps over and over again, and you kill the same enemies over and over again in the same style. There is no depth to it. The story is very linear. You know, you can't deviate from anything. You know, shit happens and you deal with it.
You honestly don't care about the situation.
I didn't care. Yeah, I didn't care about what was going on. I just wanted to get paid.
Yeah, and you wanted to upgrade, and you wanted to have some more of those sick kill moves.
Yeah, that's all there was to it. I mean, the game itself has also gotten easier. I mean, going back to the difficulty thing we did earlier, the Tenchu Z, the latest one, was so freaking easy. But going back to Tenchu, the first one, when I first played it, which got me into Z, so hard. I don't think I beat it until, like, I don't know, I decided to go back and play it after quitting for like 2 years.
Oh gosh, so that's what we mean by lack of depth, is just a story you don't care about, that it's not there if you even want to find it out. Really.
Yeah.
And this leads us to another game which I feel is, well, a few of these games. The Left 4 Dead series. Yes, I understand there is background story for all these characters, and they did give it some depth with a, what was it, like a motion comic they had?
Yeah, I didn't care.
They gave you some depth, but while you're playing the game, when I first got Left 4 Dead, I was like, oh, awesome, you know, I'm going to get, like, before I actually got it and I played it, when I was
The demo was
when
amazing.
I was thinking about the game, I was thinking, this is not to say we don't like Left 4 Dead. Don't get us wrong, we like Left 4 Dead.
I don't like the second one. The first one was good.
Same game, basically. It's like an expansion. But it is a little repetitive, but personally, I thought there was going to be like, oh, these are 4 survivors, you know, you're going to get to meet them, you're going to get all this stuff. No, it's just, you know their names.
And that's it.
And that is it.
That is fucking it.
If you play the story, that is about it. You pretty much can assume some things. You assume that, like, you know,
Since
Bill...
that guy's black, he does some pretty horrible things.
Racism. But you...
Bill is a war vet. Yes, that's all you can assume on him.
You can assume he's a war vet.
The guy with the tattoo.
Francis,
he's a racist.
No, not really. You can assume that he is a biker of some sort. And you can assume that Zoe is young-ish.
The only thing I think you could assume about Zoe is she's a normal person put into this situation.
Kind of the same with Lewis.
Yeah, which is why I like Zoe.
Like, they're just normal-ish. They have, you know, no character as you're playing the game.
Lewis just seems like a working-class American.
Yeah.
You know, who happened to survive.
Yeah. And, like, I understand that you can go and you can, there's some, like, little Easter egg things for you to find. And, like, a few things on the wall for you to read. These are all, like, nice little Easter egg things, but you don't actually get any story.
And
you know?
You don't care to do it either.
I honestly did care to do it.
I didn't care.
But I couldn't find out enough about him.
I didn't care. And it's so weird thinking that this game was Valve.
And Valve does a fantastic job with most of their games. You know, pretty much all their games. I
mean, they did a good job making the game, yeah, but then the story and, you know, everything other than actual gameplay is just fucking boring.
Their main storyline-focused game, they have a lot of multiplayer-only games.
Yeah.
Their main storyline-focused game is Half-Life, and they're doing a fantastic job with that. But, you know, I just didn't feel... I couldn't find any depth, and I wanted to find depth in Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. You know, I wanted to know more about these characters, and I wanted to know. And I found out a little bit.
The only character you get anything from is in Left 4 Dead 2, what's his name? Ellis. Because he is always telling stories about his friend. So you don't even get it about Ellis. You get it about his stupid friend who's been lit on fire like a billion times.
And another thing that I... excuse me. Another thing that I really wanted to know about Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 was what happened? What the hell happened? I want to know the reason, the cause. I want them to go and do something regarding that, but I guess it's just not going to happen. And
well, yeah, because the thing is, also you have to think about it, is they're regular people just trying to survive.
Yeah.
They're not, you know, government soldiers. They're not working for some police force.
Yeah.
They're nothing.
And that's fine. It's just I wish that there was a novel of some sort. Or a spin-off of some sort, so that I can understand the reason why the hell there are zombies. And I kind of need that. That's sort of something that Resident Evil did. That they had some sort of Resident Evil, like, oh, it was a corporation's experiment that went wrong.
Yeah.
Or a government experiment that went wrong, and then they explain to you that this, and then that's it. I'd be fine with that. But I just can't find that anywhere. Which brings us to Resident Evil. We're not going to discuss the main games.
Just Raccoon City.
Just Raccoon City because it is possibly the only one without massive amounts of depth. And sorry about that bell. There's a doorbell ringing. It's...
Raccoon City was just short. And, you know, you didn't get into it because... Yeah. You don't really get any backstory on any of the characters other than that little description.
And I really wanted some.
I was really hoping that these characters, you know, other than having these skills that they're specialized in, you know, you'd get a little bit out of that other than just, you know, Vector could become invisible, you know. And
that he's some sort of super badass for Umbrella.
Yeah, you know, and Bertha is sexy and has an accent, you know. It's just you didn't really get much out of it. You didn't care about the characters. I didn't give a shit about any of the characters.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot
of what depth is, I think, to me, has to do with caring about the fucking characters.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like it was a tie-in, so it had the Resident Evil story. And that's fine. That's a lot of depth in that storyline. but you can't find out anything about the characters that are there for you.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know anything about these characters other than they're in your team and they work for Umbrella, and you kill shit. Just, I feel like that game could have been so much better, even though we liked it.
I really did like it. These games that we're saying have no depth, it's not to say these games are horrible, don't play them. It's just, you know,
we would like depth in them. More depth.
That doesn't mean they're not fun. Doesn't mean it's not a game I'll play more than once.
Doesn't mean it's not a game that you can't go out and pick up. But if you're looking for an intense storyline, you're not going to find it in these.
Nope.
All right. Call of Duty. We had to address it. A lot of people simply pick up Call of Duty and never ever
play multiplayer.
touch or even look at the storyline.
Oh yeah, this is true because Modern Warfare, the first one, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, Tenebrae paid me to play it because I did not want to play it. I was totally against the idea of playing it. So it is the only one that has been in my console. So I have a gamer score for it just for making it through the campaign. You would not believe how many times I've seen people who have done nothing but play it online, and I still have a higher gamer score than them because they have none of the campaign achievements.
Yeah. I feel like people are going to say, oh, Call of Duty has depth if you've ever, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay. But the game doesn't address a lot of the things that happen in the game. In Halo, I have to address this. In Halo, you cut through, you know, thousands of enemies in a playthrough.
Yes.
And over the course of, you know, you playing the game, you end up killing tens of thousands of enemies of just your life playing Halo. Call of Duty, you do the same. Possibly even more, actually. But, in Halo, everyone around you recognizes that you are basically a walking tank.
Yeah.
You are a walking fortress. Master Chief in Halo is that guy that everyone's just like, oh shit, it's Master Chief.
Yeah, he shows up and people are happy. They have hope when the Chief shows up.
He is a hero for the humans, and people recognize that. And the Covenant, he is the demon.
Yes, they scream demon and run in fear when he shows up.
Because he is that much of an intimidating figure. Because, you know, you've killed that many people. That's canon. You've gone through and decimated armies by yourself. And saved planets. I mean, it's ridiculous. In Call of Duty, you basically decimate armies by yourself. You know.
And save the planet.
You kill hundreds upon hundreds, even thousands of enemies in a playthrough. And then, you know, no one bothers to be like, you know, to some people it's like, you did a good job out there today, soldier. You didn't notice that I just had a mountain of bodies over there?
Yes, it's like your guy does so much shit, and none of them are like, oh my god, you know, you're never seeing that your name is being brought up or anything. You're not some special soldier that they bring in to shitstorm stuff.
Well, you are in some of them, but it's like not.
But there's so many other guys that are apparently just like you.
Yeah, it's weird. It is so odd, in my opinion, that is okay. Like, the universe just doesn't seem correct. It doesn't seem like a functioning universe in my mind.
Yeah.
And I feel like that needs to be something that's addressed with depth. Is a functioning universe is a universe that actually could make logical sense. If it's not logical, it's weird. Another game I want to touch on is Bulletstorm. Fun game.
I haven't played it.
Well, I played it. Fun game. Fun game. I liked it. The combat was good. I mean, the shooting was good. It's just a fun game. It's a fun, just shoot 'em up, good FPS game. But no depth. I mean, there's some depth. There's some, like, you know, revenge story happening. But, you know, if characters were to die, I honestly don't care. I do not give two shits about anyone in that game. But that's not to say that it's a bad game. Just no depth, nothing worth caring about in that game. No one bothers to address a lot of issues in the game. It's just, hopefully when a Bulletstorm 2 comes out, they might give it some depth. But if not, it's fine because it's just to shoot 'em up.
Yeah, I think, you know, some games with no depth, I mean, not to say they're bad, is true. Just because a game doesn't have depth doesn't make it bad. Because, like, look at, like, a racing game. A racing game can be fun as hell, but there is no goddamn story. You're just in a car.
You are racing.
Beating people.
Yeah.
You know? There's no story in Madden. You know.
Well, it's football. You're playing.
You're playing football. You're playing for your team. Not really. You're just controlling a team. You know. But people have fun with it.
Yeah. It's not to say that they're bad. It's just say that they have no depth or very little depth. All right, we're running past 50 minutes now, so we're gonna try and wrap it up with a question. Well, kind of a statement and question. We personally would love to see games with more depth.
Yes.
You know, if the community can also get behind us on this one, that'd be fantastic. Just, you know, tell developers, tell everyone you know that you would like to have games with more depth. Now, for our question. Would you guys say Minecraft has depth? Because we're on the ropes on this one because it's weird.
There's no real story. I mean, other than when you jump through that thing at the end.
To get to the end.
Yeah, no, after you beat the dragon.
In the end, you jump into the... Well, we're not going to tell this to people, but, like, we're not sure if there's depth to it because it's, like... It's its own world, but the thing is You're
the only fucking person in this world other than the random villagers that don't really do anything.
It's like...
But they're so rare
But you can
anyway.
make your own depth.
You really can.
It's a game where you get to sandbox your way into making your own depth, immersion, and atmosphere.
You can get really immersed in Minecraft because you're like, all right, I'm gonna play some Minecraft. You know, 4 hours. You just spent playing Minecraft. You were digging a damn hole for 4 hours.
But you know what? You felt like you were accomplishing shit. You
yes,
felt like
you did.
I am getting this coal so that I can, you know, feed myself at night. I can feed my friend who's also playing on the server with me. You know.
Are you trying to say I can't feed myself?
Yeah. Yeah. If it weren't for me, you'd probably never get your drill built. We play Tekkit.
Yeah, we play Tekkit.
Not to say standard Minecraft isn't fun. It's just for us, Tekkit adds more stuff to it.
It does. It does. It's what Minecraft should become.
Yeah. I mean, we are on the ropes on whether or not Minecraft has depth simply because of the way it is. It's an interesting little game. Not to say it's a bad game. It's a fantastic game. Great game. Awesome. Do you have anything to say about Minecraft?
I did not think I would like Minecraft, and then I played it. I love Minecraft.
Yeah. Easily one of my top 10 games ever. Fantastic game. And I would love to see more games.
Such a simple idea that just...
I would love to see more games take a simple idea and do it well. Do it amazingly well.
Digging holes is never so fun.
Yeah, digging holes has never been so fun. And it's one of those games that if you play it alone or with people, it can become amazing.
Yes.
Regardless.
Regardless, yes.
So we're pushing 53 minutes-ish, and we're going to wrap it up here. So, yeah, that's been our, you know, breakdown of in-gaming of where is depth. Where's the depth? And I would love to see more depth in games. I've been Tenebrae, and...
Lady Gaga.
He's Lady Gaga today. We've been Loud Noises Gaming, and thank you for listening to our game breakdown.